It's raised a lot of questions about how he might have cashed in on his family name. And the message suggests that President Biden may have been by his side the entire time. Ring of Fire's Farron Cousins joins me now to talk about it. Farron, I look at this story. I've been ignoring this story. I literally have been ignoring the story until this last deal came up. And the last thing that came up was they got the email. They're seeing what was transpiring. They see what Hunter Biden wrote to this fellow who, oh, by the way, is directly connected to the Chinese military intelligence complex. This company they're talking about, Chinese energy conglomerate CEFC, also linked to the Chinese military intelligence complex. I don't know how, but that's what the story is. And so you pick it up from there. I mean, you and I have both fought desperately to say, well, let's wait till something develops. But the guy's a dirtbag. I mean, he's a total dirtbag. Now, does he have his father brought into dirtbag world? That's what that came to mind as I looked at this story.
It's very obvious. And as far as we know, obviously, this has been authenticated. There's no dispute over whether or not this message.
Interesting way that he presents this kind of implies that Joe Biden is not a dirtbag, not corrupt. He's clean. He's the good guy. It's all about his son. The apple, in this case, did fall far from the tree. Interesting. I would disagree. I wouldn't put Joe Biden on the same level of dirtbaggery as his son, certainly, but I don't think the apple has fallen that far from the tree. There is some thread in common between father and son here in terms of integrity issues and character issues.
That they got from WhatsApp is real. And so you have Hunter Biden messaging with his business associate Henry Zhao over in China. Hunter clearly angry about not getting paid. So based on what we know from the message, he essentially calls his dad into the room. So he sends off this fiery message. I'm here next to my dad. We want this money.
You think I ought to read it?
Yeah, I think so.
It says, I'm sitting here with my father. This is from Hunter Biden to this fellow who's indirectly related to the Chinese military complex.
I want to point out a little bit of hypocrisy or inconsistency. Now, the same people who try to get into the details, nuance of the Trump documents, right? Talking about the rustling of the papers and Tim Pool trying to say that the document actually stated like Milley said something or it was Milley's words and why would it say that? And Kim Iverson trying to pretend like, oh, maybe he's looking at a draft of a book or something. Those same people, right, won't have that level of curiosity of challenging the narrative or looking for the nuance in this story. They'll simply accept it as, yes, he's corrupt. Hunter Biden's corrupt. Joe Biden's corrupt. They were sitting in the room, blah, blah, blah. We've got him, right? However, if they were to use the same level of curiosity in terms of challenging of a narrative, like what am I really being told? What does this really mean? It's being suggested that this is saying X, but is that actually accurate? That's their assessment. What's my assessment of what's being said? They're not going to have any of that. But if they did treat this the same way they treat the Trump document, the recording, what they would say is, he's in the text message saying that he's sitting next to his dad. He's next to his dad, right? But that doesn't show that his dad was in any way involved, right? This is a WhatsApp message, right? It's literally a WhatsApp message. I mean, let's say that I worked at the White House. Maybe I'm some kind of a, I don't know. I could work in a mailroom, right? I deliver mail to all the offices in the White House, right? And there's mail that comes in for the president. I go in his office, and I am somehow able to be on my phone. I could text someone and say, hey, I'm sitting right here next to the President of the United States, right? So I want you to do X, Y, and Z, right? I want you to do this. I really want you to do this and get this done. And I'm sitting right here next to the President of the United States, right? He's right here next to me, right? I mean, you can text anything you want. That's not actual proof of anything. And let's dig a little deeper than that. It would be one thing if he was saying in here that me and my dad are very angry about this, or my dad says X, Y, and Z, right? So there he is, openly saying his dad is involved, right? And then I'm going to come in here and suggest that, oh, we could just be making it up, right? That'd be a little bit of a stretch. However, in this case, what I'm pointing out is the fact that he doesn't in any way really put his dad involved in what's happening, right? The only thing he references about his dad is that he's sitting there, that he's in the room with him, right? He doesn't give any indication or any clues regarding his dad's involvement. It sounds very convenient, almost as if someone is basically taking advantage of their father's name, but they're doing it in secret. I view Joe Biden as a corrupt individual, not particularly corrupt, or not uniquely corrupt, rather. Does typical American politician corrupt? Typical Republican are much more corrupt, for sure. But I would look at Joe Biden as corrupt as Pelosi or Schumer. Take your pick. You know, Democratic Party is a corrupt party, and he's the leader of that party, so therefore, put two and two together. That being said, this level of corruption is a little bit deeper than what I would expect from Joe Biden. So I would expect that most likely what's happening here is a scumbag son is taking advantage of his dad's name and doing stuff that his dad may not be aware of. That's my view. Now, in contrast, when you talk about the Trump classified document situation, I mean, Trump has basically openly admitted that he did what they're saying he did, right? He talked about, it's my documents, I have a right to keep them, I have a right to declassify them, blah, 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 right? He's openly admitted this stuff. So for me to ignore his own words and pretend like he didn't do anything wrong is ridiculous. In this case, we don't have any admission from Joe Biden, and we don't have a track record of him doing this kind of corruption, right? Lying to the American people and making empty promises and playing the typical politician, deceitful, dishonest, serving your donors while pandering to your base. That stuff, absolutely. But this stuff, he doesn't have a track record of this kind of corruption. Not that he couldn't do it, but I like to base my assessments on reality, right? On the past, right? The track record. Trump has the track record and has openly basically admitted what he did. Biden doesn't have the track record and hasn't admitted anything. And his son hasn't placed him directly into this. He just did what, like when I was a kid, the kid that would say to you, you better not mess with me or my big brother, blah, blah, blah. Big brother has no idea about this conversation or anything that's going on, right? Clueless to any of this stuff. It's just the little brother using his big brother's name for power. That's what this looks like to me. This is based on all the evidence given, the track record, right? Living in reality, that's the most likely thing that's happening here. Would I be shocked if Joe Biden was involved? Not really. I don't have much of a context of, again, Joe Biden doing this kind of thing. He doesn't come across like he would do it. So, I mean, I guess there's some level of like, that's interesting. But I don't have a lot of respect for him, so I'll leave it at that.
Like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight. And Z, he goes on, he says, and Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge that you will regret not following my directions. I'm sitting here and waiting for a call with my father. Now, this sounds like a mobster directive. It sounds like a friggin' mobster. And you know what? I've already heard. His lawyer has taken the position, oh, poor pitiful guy. He was on drugs. He was addicted to drugs. He was having this fight about the child that he was having through a relationship. His life was upside down. All they got to do is put Biden there. If they put the president next to him when this is happening, they got a problem. They can do that with phone. There's all kinds of ways to do that.
Well, and that is actually one of the things that they're attempting to work on right now is using the location data of President Biden's cell phone to see if he was, in fact, in the room with Hunter. As far as we know right now, that's not something that they have finalized yet. So, like you said, Hunter Biden may have been sitting there thinking, I got my father, I got Abraham Lincoln next to me, George Washington's here. We're all super pissed.
Yeah. But he could be delusional. I mean, that's what his lawyer says. His lawyer says, no, he's delusional. Although, 10 days after this directive went out, they got $10 million. Okay, $10 million was sent to this organization that they're tying the Biden family into. Now, did I get that right?
Yes. So far, that is what has happened. It may have been because the first two payments in the first 2 days totaled $5.1 million.
Yeah, that's right.
But the thing is, one, this information was included in a Senate report from 2020. So before the 2020 election, I think it happened in May. So even the Republicans in the Senate, they've known this. They've had this message for 3 years now, and we're only just now hearing it. So that to me is weird. But the other thing too, and this is where more kind of weirdness comes in. This happened in 2017. So at the time, Biden is private citizen Joe Biden. He's not running for office. He's not holding an office. So 100% we've got this is unethical. This, to me, sounds kind of like extortion at this point. I got my dad next to me. We're going to hold grudges. But can it rise to the level of illegality? It's certainly bad for the campaign, 100%.
Well, it looks really bad. I mean, look, didn't they prosecute Flynn for being a foreign agent that wasn't registered?
Exactly.
So the story is that he wasn't registered as a foreign agent, and if his dad wasn't registered, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
He was either in office as a VP, or if he's doing this, he still needs to be registered as a foreign agent. So the foreign agents issue is still a problem. It's almost checkmate. It's almost.
If Hunter Biden goes to jail, I'm not going to lose any sleep. If President Biden gets impeached, I'm not going to lose any sleep. Neither of us have any love for this family.
The only people that
so.
will are these folks that just can't. They can't look outside their tiny little world and understand.
It would almost be doing Democrats a favor.
It would.
So please note, this is a very partisan sort of liberal media channel. Evidence comes out that looks pretty solid, that makes Hunter Biden look pretty bad, and possibly Joe Biden as well. Their response is making a video saying Hunter Biden exposed cashing in on his father's name. Hunter Biden exposed cashing in on his father's name. And they say if Hunter goes to prison, tough cookies. If Joe Biden gets impeached, tough cookies. In contrast, we have solid evidence that suggests that the President of the United States has mishandled classified documents, shown them to people who do not have permission to show them, putting our troops at risk, our country at risk. And the response from right-wing media across the board is to make excuses, defend him, basically use his language of witch hunt, hoax, right? So when their guy gets exposed, they make excuses, they come out and defend him. When these guys, a person on their side gets exposed, they tell the truth to their audience, they inform their audience, right? And they're like, hey, lock him up. You see a contrast between right-wing media and left-wing media? And why is it like this? Why are these guys willing to inform their audience about the incriminating details of Hunter Biden when right-wing media hides the incriminating details about the president. They either don't want to talk about it. If they talk about it, they don't show the actual recording. If they show the recording, they got to do all kinds of theatrics, like Russell Brand taking his shirt off and, reading comments and cutting it off at the point where it gets pretty bad. Why is there all this song and dance trying to cover up and deflect and distort? But in partisan liberal media, these guys are out here informing their audience, not doing a song and dance, not deflecting and changing the topic. Why is that? This is the Baby Channel, the Baby comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.